Hey guys, before the video starts, we have a major disclaimer that we want to get out of the way. This video was recorded in early October of 2016. This means that this video is severely outdated in recent information, including the Switch still being referenced as the NX. We thought, however, this was a very interesting discussion that people might enjoy, so we decided to post it for that very reason alone. With this disclaimer out of the way, we hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. Hey guys, welcome to the Source Gaming Discussion. I am your host, Epic Martin 7, and today I am joined by upcoming YouTuber The Surge Concept.
What's up, everyone?
And today we're going to talk about the current console generation as a whole and our thoughts about it. So, Surge, or however I'm going to call you, or you want me to call you, what are your thoughts on it right now?
New consoles or like the 8th generation? I feel like it's very steady, and I feel like it's also going to be dying out soon. There's two possibilities of what can happen and what might happen, but I'm actually ready for it. And have you ever actually heard that Microsoft is moving away from consoles?
Yeah, I've been hearing about that. I recently just recorded a discussion about that, actually, about the current state of the industry and where it's going. So, yeah, I do think that Microsoft is probably going to bow out here soon. They're pushing PC, and they're not really going, full exclusive anymore. So, which is kind of unfortunate because this generation really lacked some key exclusives for consoles. I mean, you had certain things for PS4 like Uncharted or No Man's Sky, and then I think for Xbox One you had like Sunset Overdrive, but there's just very few exclusives in this day and age.
Yeah, I would definitely agree, because way back when it used to be special where you got an exclusive and you kind of almost gotta like rub it into someone's face because of like of what you got and how special it was to actually have that console and be able to play it, and because it was something special. Like there was a Halo for Microsoft. I mean, there still is Halo, but it just lost its magic. And yeah.
Yeah, Halo Wars 2 I think is coming out for PC anyways.
Right.
So.
I mean, it's all Microsoft, and I feel like Microsoft is doing the right thing of moving away from a console and hopefully pushing towards PC, because sooner or later that's what's going to happen anyway. That's what we're using. I mean, I have a PS4 right now, and it's pretty much a very user-friendly PC. You just don't have enough. You just have limitations. So.
Oh yeah, I would say the only one really in this generation that had the most exclusive is probably the Wii U. As much as that console was underpowered, it had some more exclusives compared to consoles, other consoles in this generation. But the other consoles, they are getting exclusives, but not to the point where it's not being shared on PC. Every PC is pretty much getting everything nowadays.
Oh yeah.
And all you really need is a PC, and you get access to a lot of content nowadays. So that's something that's changing. I mean, I kind of feel like the generation right now is going through a transitional period because we haven't really seen like any form of an upgraded version, like current version of the consoles right now. I mean, you have the PS4 Pro and the Scorpio coming out. We haven't really seen anything like that before.
Right, and the problem is with that is that, they say like it supports 4K resolution, and there's not that many TVs that are affordable for us gamers that we can actually go ahead and buy a 4K resolution TV or monitor. And the problem is that, again, is that when they upgrade to a better console or a better upgraded version of that console, you don't really need it unless if you're if you're just trying it out, like if you never had a PS4 or Xbox or anything like that before, you might as well get the newest greatest thing. But if you already have a PS4 and you already have an Xbox One, there's really no reason why you should actually get the PS4 Pro or Scorpio, because I mean they're just they do that regularly. That's what they did with the Xbox 360 and the PS3, and really it's just they're slapping a new sticker on it, calling it new, when I mean sure it'll run faster, but it's just raking in money.
I mean, yeah. Pretty much. And at this point, you can easily get a gaming PC that's more powerful than the PS4 Pro, and possibly Project Scorpio. I mean, we don't know what specs are going to be in there, but I know that the specs are going to be equal to a pretty much new generation console. It'll just be like branded under the Xbox One name. So I'm curious about that machine. But anyways, about the current generation, like right now, what games do you think like were the highlights of this generation for you?
Highlights. Including that I just got my PS4, I'd have to say at the beginning of May of this year. The highlights of so far that I've mostly enjoyed is actually, well, let me look right here. I have my PS4 pulled up right now. And all my PS4,
Cool.
Black Ops 3, even though that's multi-platform game, PC and like everything except for, the Wii U and the Nintendo. Actually, did they?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think they do, but definitely I would love to point out that there's a Paragon, which is on PS4 and PC. That's a brilliant game.
Mm-hmm.
It's an arena type,
Nice.
style game. There's Rocket League, which is also for PC, and soon to be coming out Xbox One, and it's on PS4.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really many exclusives, and I feel like this, generation has been lacking on, like the excitement. And
Yeah, I think another thing too. Recently, I watched this video by a YouTuber named Bryhard. Shoutouts to him, by the way. We featured on Source Gaming several times, but he basically talked about the issue of cinematics in games and how developers are pushing them more than gameplay. Like, first of all, not to bash The Last of Us, because I've heard several good things about that game, and but a lot of some people have been saying like that the cinematics are too integral into the story, and it doesn't really it makes the game to the point where it changes patterns so much that you can't get in depth into the gameplay. You can't skip cutscenes because the cinematics are so integral into the game that it breaks up the pace too much.
right. Yeah, definitely. You could say that for a lot of games. That's I think that's just a Sony thing almost, but I could definitely see that for Xbox. But definitely, The Last of Us. I do have The Last of Us. It's an outstanding game. It's been out for a while, but they've done that with Final Fantasy, and they've completely almost ruined a perfectly good game, because of the cinematics of how you cannot skip the cutscenes that aren't really needed, and it's just it takes away from it makes it into a movie that no one really wants to watch. They want to play.
Yeah, that's true, but I think if cinematics are done right, I think it depends on how the gameplay is approached and how the cinematics are approached. If you're able to skip the cutscenes, or if the gameplay isn't dependent on the cutscenes, and I think that'd make for a better game. I'm not dissing cinematics at all. Sometimes it can be an integral good part of a game. It's just the fact that you don't want to make it so it's so dependent on it. You have to give the players some control on where they want to go.
Right. Yeah, I could definitely understand.
If you know what I mean.
It's just there's some very good cinematics out there, and it makes a game special. And because of what they can do, and how they can show it off, and how much time they've worked on a game, I could definitely see that. But yeah, I would definitely agree with you on there of how it's just choose how choose how you do it, and it depends what kind of game it is too. If it's dependent, like you said, if it depends on the game, of what type of game it is. If it's a story game, I guess that's why The Last of Us would be more keen to have those cinematic views. And it's not just The Last of Us.
Right, the Telltale games are a perfect example of a different genre wrapped around the cutscenes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And people do like those games, so you could technically make it into its own genre, but mainly the issue is slapping cutscenes onto genres that don't exactly need it, but yet the cutscenes are kind of a nice bonus. But at least let the player control what cutscenes they want to watch, or Like, don't make it integral into the gameplay if it's a different genre. If it's the genre that includes like heavy cutscenes, then that market will get enjoyment out of it. You know?
Yeah, that I could actually from a game from experience, Destiny, if you've ever heard of that game, that
Oh yeah.
that game before you could skip cutscenes because they from the DLC, the Taken King. Before that, you could not skip any cutscenes, and some cutscenes would be pretty lengthy. They weren't too bad, but if you've already seen it and you don't really care about it, and there's so many cutscenes because of the story and just every time you beat a mission, every time you do this and that, there's always a cutscene. And now that they updated it, and now it's so much better, I can agree. But there are some times where I do want to sit and watch it and not be too antsy to play the game.
Oh, yeah.
So I do agree with you where we need to choose and we want to have a choice. Definitely.
Basically, power to the
Yes.
players. But yeah. So basically, I think this is another reason why the indie scene was also made too. A lot of these games are becoming like too as. Okay, let me rephrase this. A lot of consoles are getting more and more powerful, so developers want to push the hardware to their limits. So they started making, of course, AAA cinematic games, but then that gave rise to basically the indie scene that we have today with downloadable titles. Like we recently had games released that are like classic 8-bit style. Like, have you heard of Shovel Knight?
Yes, I have.
So that kind of game goes back to gaming's roots and tries to be something different. I mean, you have other games such as Runbow, which is like an 8-player fighting cartoonish kind of game. You have things like Shantae, which is another platformer, colorful platformer release, downloadable only. You have a lot of these developers being like, okay, we want to do something different compared to the big publishers like Ubisoft and EA, where they're trying to play it safe and make huge games. We're gonna try something different. We're gonna try to appeal to a different audience that they would normally do.
Right. Like that's one of the things I love the most about this generation, and it's just started up on the last generation of consoles, like on the Xbox, on the Wii, and the PS3, and including also the PC, where indie titles have been coming up more and more, and that's what I've been getting more excited about rather than AAA titles, just because of what you can do. Because actually, No Man's Sky, for the PS4 and PC, this is actually an indie game, and and it's pretty crazy. Like, sure, they did a good job, and that's why I was super excited about it, just because it's an indie game. Outlast, a horror game for, I believe, all platforms. That's an indie game. It's very well done, and it's, when you think about it, they almost do just as good or a better job than the AAA titles. And now I've been looking forward to more indie games than I have AAA games.
I mean, one game that looks really good right now is Yooka-Laylee. It's a game by Planetonic Games. It's the spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie. Basically, the developers made it in the Unity engine for like a year, and it already looks polished. It's a very cartoonish 90s platformer, pretty much, from the N64 era, brought in modern HD. Like, they did all that, and it already looks polished. I mean, some of these indie studios are making games that are more polished than the AAA devs. I mean, not to, again, diss some of the AAA publishers, but some of these games that are being made by indie studios are really impressive,
Yes.
Like again, No Man's Sky, the scope of the game was extremely impressive. Even though some could argue that some things went wrong with the game, I think it was not to get on that subject. That's a discussion for another time. But marketing went wrong for that game, people say. But again, ignoring that fact, the scope of it was extremely, again, larger than probably most AAA titles, and it's just insane having these developers come out of the woodworks and say, "Hey, I see this game, I can do better."
Right. It's very intimidating, like to think about, you know, of how well these newer developers of how much better they can do about and than these AAA big companies who actually make games like Activision and Treyarch, of how they come together and even like it's very exciting to see in the gaming industry, because that means there's competition, and when there's competition, we as gamers get more out of it.
Oh yeah.
It's so exciting.
Mm-hmm. And it's also cool that some big publishers are starting to notice some indie devs, and they're starting to, pick certain studios up to allow them to, say, publish their game under that brand, because they basically have a better game but under a better brand, which means it'll get more recognition. So that's starting to happen a little bit more and more, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think I know there was one instance of this is kind of similar, but there's a fan game made by a small studio that was, I think it was kind of indie, but it was a Street Fighter X Mega Man game for both their 20th anniversaries, I believe, 20th or 25th. And Capcom actually scooped it up and allowed them to make it under their brand legally.
Yeah, and that's also a good thing for, sort of kind of not really getting off topic here, but it's exciting for jobs as well, job opportunities. Like ideas, you can push it to the developers, and if it's good enough, you can pitch it, and you can, almost do like a Shark Tank type of thing, and you can just actually go in and, you can be a part of something so much bigger than you actually intended.
Or heck, you can even start your own indie studio at this point. A lot of these companies have started to relax their licensing agreements. For example, Nintendo, they actually relaxed a lot of their licensing fees and agreements. And if you just sign up on their developer portal, you can become a developer instantly.
Really? Wow.
Although that kind of, yeah. You just have to sign a couple NDAs and get like a dev kit, which is god awfully expensive, but you can still become a developer.
Right.
Although that kind of led to some consequences on their side, because a lot of hackers started signing up and leaking SDKs and stuff. So yeah. It has its positives, but it also has its cons. So it's becoming easier to become a developer, but I think they still need to watch out certain things.
Yes, definitely.
So, but other than that, it's really cool. They're starting to relax some, guidelines, and it's still easy to make physical copies of your indie titles too. The only reason why these indie studios make digital titles at this point is because they don't really want to spend the fees to produce discs, but those have been going down too as the disc medium is becoming cheaper and cheaper.
Yeah, and I feel like soon, that within the next probably, I don't know, I feel like that maybe next generation of consoles will, like maybe the PS5, if there's such a thing, or the Xbox 2 or whatever it's gonna be called, and the Wii, and the next thing that Nintendo comes out with, everything might be digital, and I'm personally okay with that. 'Cause I'm a stickler with discs. I love them, but I'm afraid to scratch them. I don't want to, hand them to people. I don't want to, I don't want to have to worry about it. I just want to load it up and play. I don't want that long loading screen. I just, want to play. And that may or may not be a problem. I don't see it being a problem for developers, but it would definitely change the market.
Mm-hmm. And you already see some things switching to digital already, so I think at this point they're going to try to ease people into it. So for me, I'm still a stickler for physical copies. I gotta hold the game in my hand and put it in the system to actually get the full experience. But I buy digital titles if I really, really want them. So
Right.
it's a balancing act for me. So
That's the other problem too.
but
Is
it-
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, that's the other problem is that if you don't if you buy a game digitally, there's that chance that you can refund it, but it's not a very big it's not a very good chance. It's not always promising, and if you don't like the game, you're gonna be stuck with it if you buy it digitally. Not so much if you buy it physically.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Steam has a refund system now, so we might be seeing something similar in consoles
I
here
hope
soon.
so, because I made a mistake. I accidentally bought Destiny DLC when I wanted to buy the Destiny game, and I started freaking out, and I did it digitally. And thankfully, they refunded it, and they were very nice about it. But they said that they only did it because of their, because they were being kind, and they understood my mistake. So yeah.
Yeah. See, for me, I made a dumbfounded mistake when there was Smash DLC that came out, I think, last year. It came with Peach's Castle 64 and from the original Super Smash Brothers, as well as I think Hyrule Castle. Anyways, you could buy them for both the 3DS and Wii U versions, and it would come with a bundle, which was significantly cheaper. Well, the thing was, I accidentally bought the Wii U one only, and I didn't have enough money to buy the 3DS one.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I couldn't get a refund because of the system that they put in place. So, that's why I'm hoping for a refund system for consoles to come out here soon.
That'd be very nice. I'd actually love that. And because there are some of those games, honestly, just throwing it out there, it's not just this game, but No Man's Sky, just because of what it has promised, and it has kind of failed that promise. Yeah, I would definitely love that feature, have it for 30 days, and, if you don't like it, then just refund it, and...
So wait, would you want to, refund No Man's Sky?
Personally, I remember, because last year, of how much I hyped this game up, I hyped it up. I feel like that's what they wanted. That was their marketing tactic. They wanted to show us something, and they wanted us to hype it up so much where we entice everyone else to get this game. And we did. I did. I definitely did. I got a couple other people to buy this game, and it wasn't what it turned out to be. But they still got their money. I mean, some people refunded and whatnot, but it's...
Oh, yeah. I remember the massive amount of petitions for that, so...
Yeah, they're going through some legal issues right about now because of their promises that they have not kept. Personally, it's still a good game, but if they didn't promise, if they didn't, show us, what was in the game, I believe that stuff was, potentially in the game, but I think they had to take it out, or some stuff, because they had to polish it and make it, better for PC users to actually run the game. Which is understandable, but it's also you can't do that. You can't false advertise and still expect people to be happy with the final product.
I know in some certain instances, the PC ports of things, in certain games, actually got botched. You remember I think it was Arkham Knight.
Oh, definitely.
It was either that game. Oh my gosh, that game was bugged to hell.
It was bad. There was Arkham Knight. There was Assassin's Creed Unity. Man.
Oh yeah, that was just not for PC but for consoles too.
Wow.
Yeah, the PS4 version was extremely bugged until they released this monolith patch for it. So
yeah, that's why I also love indie developers, because it's forgivable. It's definitely more forgivable because they are an indie small development team, where instead of a Assassin's Creed Unity and Arkham Knight, where those are AAA titles, it's almost unforgivable of how almost lazy they can be. And sure, accidents do happen, but I mean, you're selling this game for sometimes more than $100 because some people buy the bundle and they buy the DLC, season pass, everything. And when people do that, and when when copious amounts of people do that, you lose trust in that AAA company, and it doesn't look good.
Cough, Capcom, cough.
Wow.
Well,
man.
Well, I mean, they're slowly getting better, sort of.
Yeah,
I would say I mean, they're probably in, I would say, the mid to upper red range for people's confidence. I mean, it's getting up there, but it still isn't fully there. I mean, everything that's going on with Street Fighter Five has really lowered the confidence of people.
Yeah,
And
that's a problem.
I mean, pretty much. The model that they chose for that game, I think. I mean, come on, they didn't include an arcade mode on the base disc, which most people actually buy Street Fighter for, which is actually pretty funny if you think about it. But a lot of people like that arcade experience, and they left that game's bare bone. But they're gonna have to patch everything in, and I guarantee you in the next couple of years you're gonna have a definitive edition for it. So might as well wait until the game's complete.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Recently too, for the PC version, Capcom included a I don't know. They were basically trying to prevent people from cheating on PC with like cheat codes and stuff. But they included a it was called Capcom.dll file, and it was supposed to be the anti-cheat mechanism. But that also got rid of all your computer's security when you boot up the game.
Mm.
And it allowed kernel access to your PC, which meant anyone can install anything onto your PC. So you could potentially get a virus while you're playing the game. It was bad. So the community was like, don't download the new update. Don't do it.
Right. Yeah, that's actually it's really scary because that could happen. Including when people know that, and when, let's say, if someone does know how to code, and they are a hacker perhaps. And you have no, they somehow, they could probably get your IP address, and they can hack into your computer, your router, and your monitor. They can go into anything, and that's very big. That could be used as a, like the Trojan horse almost. Their own game would be a Trojan horse onto your computer, and
pretty much
that could destroy a gaming experience, and you could lose all of your customers, and and it wouldn't just be them; it'd be for almost every Because if one, it would just affect everything. It wouldn't just affect that game. I mean, sure, it would affect that company really hard, but it would, affect multiple people, including other companies.
Oh yeah, pretty much. Basically, at this point, it goes to show that sometimes hackers do what the companies don't. Sometimes, I mean, it's kind of funny because there's a lot of stigmas towards video game hackers because people think they're gonna do what Anonymous did to the PS3 servers.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, there's certain hackers like that, but a lot of the times they're just simple people data mining stuff to tell certain users, hey, this is what's been changed.
Right, and there's definitely the good guys. They're not all. I feel there's definitely a stigma around hackers of where they're just bad, stay away from them. They're not any good. But they're like they're testing. They're definitely testing the limits of what this game or what the company is doing, and everyone thinks of it as bad. And without those people, I don't think we'd be able to have any absolute, good, finished products, almost per se. Like some games haven't been hacked, but I can definitely see where you're coming from that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. But I think it just goes to show though that we haven't really seen that much hacking in the PS4 and Xbox One, so their security has been really good with that console.
Oh yeah.
The only known hack I know of was for the PS4, and it was through the internet browser, and you could you could launch Ubuntu Linux, and you could play Steam games on there. So
yeah. I heard about that, and it's it's one of those things like where they, it's really there's no harm in it. There really isn't. Like
no.
if you could do it, then why not? Sure, it's your own console, and maybe there's license and agreements of where if your PS4 messes up, you cannot trade it back in, and that's completely fine. But it's but more on the subject of security. Recently, PlayStation has increased their prices of from free from the PlayStation 3. You could have a free subscription, or you wouldn't even be a subscription. You could just play for free online with your friends and whatever. And then there would be on the PS4, it switched over to about $50 for 1 year. And then just recently it went now to $60. It isn't that big of a difference, but it does add up in the long run. Like, because you could say that $10 for maybe, I don't know, another company's DLC or something, else that can go towards something. And, it sucks.
I find it hilarious that Microsoft charges just as much as Sony, but Sony servers are pretty much getting hacked almost every other week. Pretty much, like, taken down. I mean, if you guys remember Lizard Squad from, like, I think 2014, 2015.
They took down both of them, right? Microsoft and PS4?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think Microsoft was only for a little bit, but I think the PlayStation servers have been in maintenance the most, and they're charging just as much, again, as Microsoft. So I think this might be a learning experience for Sony just a little bit, which I don't blame them for, but it's just the fact that, okay, you are paying the exact same amount if you're on the Xbox One, yet Microsoft has more secure servers than you. I mean, you get more quality in terms of server, maintenance for, Microsoft.
Right.
If you know what I mean.
That's what they do. That's what Microsoft does. That's what they've been doing for forever. And I wouldn't expect anything more or less from them. That's what they do, and that's what they're good at. And now that I know that, I mean, it's been in the back of my mind, but I've been naive about that because I was thinking, hey, if it's cheaper, then it's better for me. But that's not always true because now that I see it, maybe the Xbox One would have been a better choice, or investing in a PC or a better PC for myself. And that's not doing good for Sony, because Sony, they are very good with their, heck, they're good with their cinematics, that's for sure. I know that they're good with their movies, but it's they can't, you're definitely not going to beat some, a company that's been doing this for over 20 years, and they've been doing this for I don't even know.
I think the defining feature of this generation is mostly it doesn't matter which platform you choose, sans the Wii U, you'll still get the same experience around. Pretty much. I mean, so you have different options, but you're still going to get the same titles most of the time, no matter which platform you choose. The difference is the power of the console. And I think that's something that really defines the generation, in that it's not about how much games you have anymore. It's not how much whacked out, peripherals you have anymore. Like, for example, the Sega Genesis had 2 add-ons for it, and that thing looked like a tank, compared to the Super Nintendo, which was just a console. Right. This generation is about mainly, who has the best horsepower.
Definitely.
And you can clearly see that with the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One Scorpio.
Right.
The only thing that really stands out as kind of useless to me is the slim models.
Yeah, it's why wouldn't they make it slim in the first place? That's my kind of question.
I mean, I can understand the Xbox One Slim because that console was huge when it first came out. But the PS4 was actually a very small, compact console.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's right next to me, and it's pretty much as big as a Blu-ray player, and it is a Blu-ray player, to be honest, and it's actually very nice and convenient, and it's yeah. But the Xbox One was definitely a monster. Yeah, it wasn't easy to transport around. I mean, it wasn't as, it was sure a couple inches bigger than the PS4, but it was, it was also heavy, and it wasn't easy.
Well, when I first saw the PlayStation 4, I was like, is that something on a Star Trek?
Yeah, right.
That had a futuristic look, while the Xbox One had more of a like a VCR from the future kind of vibe from it.
Yeah, it's it's crazy because of how far into technology we have gone. And like, you know, right, I have my phone right here, and it, you know, I'm sure it's not as powerful as the PS4, PC, or Xbox One or anything like that, but yet
No.
I can probably do a little, like, now I won't say more, but I have more options on, you know, what I can do on my phone than I can even do on the, you know, Xbox. Sure, I can't play games on my phone, but I can make calls, I can, you know, get hotspots, but it's all based on perspective, really, because it's all on what you were raised with. And
Pretty
yeah,
much.
there's also these. I don't know if you've heard of these things, but these these are also part of the 8th generation of consoles, and these are mostly handheld devices like the PSP Vita, but yeah, PSP Vita and Nintendo 3DS. But there's also the Nvidia Shield.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that. I've actually been thinking about getting one for a while.
Yeah,
but...
those things are beasts, and you know it's a handheld, and
Oh yeah.
like the Steam box, and you know I've been thinking about the Steam box lately, and it's pretty much it reminded me of a PS4, but for computer games, and I was like, perfect, you know, hey, you know, if I feel like it's gonna be it's gonna be more like that in the future, where it'd be mostly a cheaper PC instead of expensive consoles.
See, the Steam box kind of reminds me of an old console called the 3DO, which 3DO was a company that licensed out their brand to any company, and that company allowed that basically they licensed out to a bunch of companies, and those companies made different versions of the console that competed with each other, pretty much. That's pretty much the Steam machine at this point. Like, a lot of companies are making Steam machines, but they're kind of competing with each other in a sense, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I got you. And
I mean,
it's very, see, like I said, it's a great time to be, you know, a gamer, and it's a good time to be an entrepreneur in this type of field and a developer, because when you do make that next big thing, and that thing's gonna explode, and there's gonna be, you know, hundreds, millions, if not billions of people who will love your product, and it's crazy, because now the more I think about it, the more I talk about it, I feel like the PS4 and the Xbox are gonna die out, not as much as, like, you know, the Atari did, but as much as, like, you know, they won't be as popular and used anymore, because I feel like Steam will take over, and it's not a bad thing. I feel like this is for better. Sure, they'll lose PlayStation will lose jobs, or they'll move to another, you know, niche, like what Xbox is doing. They're going just, you know, console-less to PC, and I feel like Sony should stick to what they're good at, and making cameras, you know, TVs and Blu-ray players, and then just let, you know, let Steam take over. And sure, that'd be a monopoly, and that's not always good, but, you know, either way, it's the same price.
I explained this in a future video coming up, hint hint wink wink, but basically I do see the PlayStation brand and the Xbox brand still surviving, but I think they're just going to be only that, a brand. I think Microsoft is in to possibly make a Steam competitor using Windows 10 or the Windows platform. And I think Sony is probably going to go the streaming route, because you've seen PlayStation Now.
Yes.
You know, I mean, you've seen that. So I think those brands are still going to stick around. I just don't think the machine that we call the PlayStation isn't.
Right. Yeah, that's understandable.
You know. So I think they're still going to be around for generations to come. I just think the way we see them is going to be drastically different.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and some people think it's for the better, some people think it's for the worse. I honestly have mixed opinions on it, but it doesn't matter who you are. You gotta acknowledge something is that the gaming landscape is changing.
Right.
No matter how we like it, you know. I mean, interestingly, the Xbox One, they were thinking about making it digital only. When they were first making it, they had no drive, and they were going to show that E3, the DRM stupid ass version of the Xbox One, But um, but they decided to add a drive. So because they knew, okay, we're gonna lose profits at this point. So I think it's only a matter of time until companies start easing people into a digital only future. So
Right, and that's the thing. People are always afraid of when something changes. They're afraid it's going to change, instantly, and that's what they're afraid of. But I feel like this can be a very slow movement because I can definitely, yeah, I can tell you that PS4 is meant for. From what I see it right now, I feel like the PS4 is definitely has a better gaming experience because I have used the Xbox One, and that's mostly it feels like a computer almost. I mean, it looked like it was Windows 8,
mhm.
and you had Skype, you had Netflix, you had Internet Explorer, not Internet Explorer, but you had your web browser, and
Mhm.
it was a very fun experience, and they both should do what they're best at, and I'm very excited for the future because it's not going to be bad at all. And I can't really see anything that's going to be bad at it. It's only on someone's perspective and opinion.
So yeah, that's highly true. Like I said, I treasure my physical copies, and I'm gonna miss them when that digital future eventually comes. But I think at this point, like I said, it's all about easing them in. Again, I don't think the general public is ready for digital only. I mean, Nintendo's rumored next console, the NX, is rumored to use cartridges instead of discs, i.e., like SD
Right.
cards of sorts, like flash medium, and that's a form of physical media. So I don't think like anytime soon we're gonna see a company saying, "Oh, herder, we're gonna go to digital only and lose out on a bunch
Definitely
of
not.
profits," because I maybe in the next 20, 30
Yeah.
years.
Because there's still so much
So
more room to grow. I mean, right now, as I see it, when you, or let's say when I buy, for a game for example, Call of Duty, when you get that game for either, it doesn't matter what console, it could be, it could be sixth generation or it could be, eighth, or sorry, seventh generation or eighth generation, where you have these updates, you have these title updates, ensure that server maintenance, and that just adds on things to the game. And I feel like it's slowly, day by day, it's making itself more digital than disc. But
mhm.
no one knows what's going to happen within, you said like the next 20 something years because the Blu-ray came out. The Blu-ray disc came out. I don't even know when, but it did came out, and it's better than the CD and it's better than DVD. And something else can come out like that.
Mhm.
It can come out with a new disc and a new disc drive, and instead of everything going digital, it could just maybe be installed on that disc, which is very highly unlikely because of everything that's going on digital and there's a cloud, quote unquote. But there's also, let's just say, out of the blue, what if there's like an EMP or like a power storage where you cannot, get to those things, and that's a very big downfall.
True. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the again, this discussion could technically be another video, but just to make it brief, honestly, the whole thing with digital versus physical is that digital, if your hard drive dies and the servers go down, which will happen eventually with each, generation, you're you're dead. Like you're screwed. All your games are
Yep.
gone. Well, for physical, you still have all your
Right.
games. You know,
But I
and
mean,
I mean that's one. Go ahead.
I mean, including that they're downloaded, I feel I can understand that, like with the licenses. I've had that problem with licenses about mostly it was when it was the Destiny DLC that I got. It was the licenses that I was you know that was the problem. Like they had a problem with me downloading those things, and they were already downloaded on my PS4. And the thing,
Hmm.
what they had to do is they had to restrict my licenses when I already had it downloaded, and that was a very hard thing for them to do. And I mean, downloading it isn't the problem, and sure the servers will go down, but soon most games will have servers, and most games are pushing to that
Right.
multiplayer thing. And I feel like power outages would be a problem only if you're trying to download a game or if you're trying to stream something. But definitely those physical copies do come in handy when you're in that type of problem.
Definitely. It's a really subjective subject that I actually might want to cover in the future. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But but it's an interesting prospect where things will eventually go. I mean, technically speaking, at some point, we know the HGen servers are probably going to shut down. It's inevitable. A perfect example is the original Xbox. Microsoft actually made a really dumb, I would say, a dumb deal with Nvidia that they had to pay like huge amounts of royalties every Xbox that was being sold to them, which meant they never made money on the original Xbox until Halo 2 dropped. And that was the only time they made a profit on it. So when the Xbox 360 came out, they dropped that. Like, they dropped production back in 2004. It had, like, one of the least, like... It had one of the weakest life cycles of any console, yet it was still successful. So, and around 2008, 2007, 2008, they dropped Xbox Live for that, which meant you couldn't download DLC for any of that. The only way you can do that is if you soft mod your Xbox, which thankfully is really... It's somewhat easy to do. I mean, hackers broke that console open, like, easily. So you can get all the DLC that you missed out on for it. But certain games already plagued because you can't get update patches for them. There was a game based on The Matrix for the original Xbox, and that game was bugged as hell, but it had a huge patch which fixed everything and made the game actually playable, and a lot of people said it was really good with the patch. But unfortunately, now you can't play the game with the patch. It's going to be buggy as heck. So I think that's maybe a consequence of digital only a future, which this generation is kind of, I think, setting the groundwork for.
Right, but that could...
But
yeah, you're right, because, unless if you have a completely finished product game, and I'm trying to think of a game that I have right now that's completely finished that would not need... I'd have to say Outlast. I don't think Outlast has anything that's like a completely finished game, and I agree with you because, like, if the network goes down and everything goes down, this is still downloaded on my computer, but I can still, or not computer, but my PS4, I can still play it. But with, like, Call of Duty or Last of Us, their multiplayer, or No Man's Sky, well, actually, no, that's offline. But, those type of games, if it goes offline, I won't, if those network and everything, if everything shuts down, I won't be able to do anything with those games because, it would stop production on patches and everything. That may, that's going to be a problem.
Right, and which is why the only way you can get stuff nowadays for servers that have been shut down is if you hack your console, which is why hacking a console is sometimes a good prospect because you can conserve some of the DLC and some of the content that would normally otherwise be unobtainable.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, the 3DS right now, that's being hacked to bits, and yes, there's a lot of piracy going on. I mean, you could easily pirate stuff by just downloading stuff off of Nintendo servers. Like, it's that easy. You can do, but people are using that to basically host them. Yeah, quote unquote, host them on the sites for people to download. But once that server is gone, you can still get it after everything has been shut down.
Yeah, like I said, like...
I mean, recently... Go ahead.
Yeah, just a little bit, like, sometimes, hackers aren't the bad guys. They're really not. Sometimes they're doing it for a purpose and just to help the developers get a better understanding of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and I think that it's something that'll happen eventually. I mean, no system is unhackable. I mean, I think eventually people will start trying like as soon as say maybe Microsoft says okay the Xbox One servers are shutting down, people will try to make the efforts to hack the console and start preserving all that. That's why actually oh it was what is it called? I can't remember. It's like the giant store archive.org. They've been actually storing old games on their website because those games will soon like eventually be unobtainable. Due to the impending impending deterioration of the cartridge pins and everything in
Right.
old games. So you can still play them, and I mean, again, albeit digital or physical, everything deteriorates
Right.
eventually. It's just how fast does it deteriorate is what people are worried
Right.
about.
And
You know.
that's for a lot of new games. Not so much. I don't think of Nintendo because those are the fun like those are the fun games that I would love to play over and over again, which Nintendo does have, and I've never really come to be disappointed by Nintendo. But mostly for like the newer games that are coming out, that's just not what people are looking for.
Mhm.
Like their lifespan, maybe not game wise or like playability. No, yeah, playability. The
Mhm.
playability is that deteriorates very quick. Like I would be playing, let's say, like again, Black Ops 3 or Grand Theft Auto or Outlast or something like that, and their
Mhm.
playability would be super, almost low now because they're coming out with games like Call of Duty is like they're coming out with games every year, and they expect us to to buy a game because of it's gonna die out, and which is bad. They should
Right.
like I feel personally they should make a long lasting game like GTA. Actually, GTA has been out for more than about I'd say 4 years, five maybe. It's coming up on five,
Mhm.
and they're doing it right. They're adding more things to the game optionally if you want to download it. If not, you can go ahead and go on free roam or do whatever you want. But with Call of Duty, you can't do that. You have to download these things, and then once that Call of Duty is done, there's gonna be another one, and you're just gonna have this game that no one's gonna play, and you're not gonna want to play.
The the process starts over and over again. Just and one thing I here's the thing. Certain games I don't really find like replayable anymore. I think a lot of developers are getting like for example, when you play a game once, sometimes it'll entice you to go back into it to collect like the rest of the
Right.
collectibles or extra features. Games aren't really doing that
No.
anymore. It's like it's not enticing you to go back and play it. I mean, yeah, you have things like online multiplayer, but that like I said, it's eventually going to go down, and you can't sit there in 10 years and play Call of Duty Black Ops 3 again online unless there's fan servers, and I don't think a lot of the casual market would want to do that. You know,
I
I
mean,
mean,
now what they did is that they're coming back with the old Call of Duty, and some old Call of Duty servers do have or old Call of Duty games do have their servers, or they're put back onto new servers. That's because of their replayability is so high because of how good of a game
mm-hmm.
that was. But you know, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, I feel like that game, no one really liked it. No one, I mean, it was a good game for what it was, but no one really actually wanted that game. They bought it because it was a thing that it came out, it was new, it was fun for a little bit, but and then they realized, hey, we don't want this type of game anymore. We want something different. Um, which that's in Call of Duty's case, but in uh, heck, you know,
I mean, a lot. Basically, just to kind of finish this off, a lot of these games are becoming stale because the developer wants to be safe with them, essentially. Because games are becoming more and more expensive, they want to be safe in order to make as much revenue as possible.
right, and they're doing that
So,
by having their replayability low. So when their next game comes out, we hope that it's better, but that's not always the case.
or adding large amounts of DLC, a la
Yeah.
Capcom.
And hashtag Activision. They've been doing that a lot lately.
Oh yeah. So, anyways, did you want to plug anything?
I guess my YouTube channel, my gaming YouTube channel, The Surge Concept. And my Twitter, which is also The Surge Concept. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. I also have an Instagram, but that will be also on my YouTube channel in a link. So, yeah.
Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to follow us on our social media pages, including our Facebook and Twitter accounts. Be sure to also support us on Patreon if you want to receive exclusive perks. Everything will be linked in the description below, including our own personal social media accounts and the Surge Concepts YouTube channel. We hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.